Have I've got a backup pick. So when I drop it, and I don't see it anywhere.
Because you know how that is.
I had one flip down there, and I never saw it.
What?
A pick.
A pick?
I usually keep an extra one in case it flips out of my hand, and I don't have one. Well, I should have noticed it before.
I sure don't see it.
Not this one.
It's not this brown one here, the turtle color.
Yeah, that's the only one I've got. So I usually keep another one in case it flips out of my hand. But I got it back up.
Oh, here's a hard one.
Yeah, and I guess what I could do, I could just for the moment, I'll just put this up. It's not the same density.
Yeah.
I see that.
This one is over here. It's kind of chipped at the tip here, but that's been sitting there as an emergency, basically.
Yeah, I'm afraid.
It's all good. Don't rush. We're fine.
They run away.
They do.
No, you're good.
It's no big deal.
I was assuming I had one up here somewhere.
It's no big thing.
Okay, I'm ready when you are.
All right.
I decided
That's
to
a
drop
Scottish
that in mine, I guess you
tune.
could tell. Because, yeah, sorry. It's a bright resolution with the G major. It just makes more sense. So, yeah. Okay.
We're gonna walk together, arm in arm, with peace in our hearts. We're gonna walk together, in our hearts. Gonna walk together arm in arm, so our sisters and brothers won't come to any harm. We know we got peace in our hearts. Gonna walk with every color and tribe, with peace in our hearts. Gonna walk with every color and tribe, with peace in our hearts. Gonna walk with every color and tribe, 'cause we're stronger together when we're on the same side. We know we got peace in our hearts. We're gonna stand for the earth and the children too, with peace in our hearts. We're gonna stand for the earth and the children too, with peace in our hearts. Gonna stand for the earth and the children too, 'cause it will take everyone to make this dream come true. We know we got peace in our hearts. We're gonna stare into the face of the hateful mind, with peace in our hearts. We're gonna stare into the face of the hateful mind, with peace in our hearts. We're gonna stare into the face of the hateful mind. All we gotta do is let our love light shine. We know we got peace in our hearts. We're gonna walk together arm in arm, with peace in our hearts. We're gonna walk together arm in arm, with peace in our hearts. Gonna walk together arm in arm, so our sisters and brothers won't come to any harm. We know we got peace in our hearts. 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 Speak through me, oh blessed Spirit.
Good morning. Now let's all stand and sing Breathe.
Breathe, gotta let it all go. I'm gonna breathe, Spirit tells me it's so. I'm looking for answers from the divine, but I can't seem to open the door. These questions are burning a hole in my heart, they all leave me here wanting more. So I'm gonna breathe, gotta let it all go. I'm gonna breathe, Spirit tells me it's so. I wish that I wasn't feeling this way, I wish things were different somehow. I wanna remember all the truths that I know and live in the power of now. So I'm gonna breathe, gotta let it all go. I'm gonna breathe, Spirit tells me it's so. Now the Spirit tells me, all the voices tell me, now I hear me tell me too, that I must breathe, gotta let it all go. I'm gonna breathe, Spirit tells me it's so. They say that intentions can change your whole life, depending on where you set them. I can, he can, now I know, and I think I'm gonna let him. So I'm gonna breathe, gotta let it all go. I'm gonna breathe, Spirit tells me it's so. I'm gonna breathe, gotta let it all go. I'm gonna breathe, Spirit tells me it's so. I've gotta breathe.
Let us pray. We open our hearts and minds to receive divine inspiration this morning at this very special place and time. May we allow Spirit to inform us of what is ours to release and what is ours to embrace. We open up, we release, and we receive as Spirit moves in, around, and through us. We are grateful for this glorious morning and for all those who are serving today of their gifts and talents. May we each be blessed in a special way. Amen. Welcome to Unity of Gulfport. Do we have any first-time visitors? Okay, we do have some first-time visitors. Did you get a guest packet? Okay, they need a guest packet. You've got a guest information card in your guest packet, and you can fill it out, and we'll add you to our mailing list, and you can see all the fabulous things that we do here. And you're always invited. We're glad to have you join us today. So now let's do our weekly affirmation. We come together to affirm and celebrate our unity, our oneness with each other, and with the source of all that is. In that spirit of unity, let us pause to enfold in light and love all people in our community and in our world. The candle of unity signifies the light within each of us and our connection to the source of all that is. And so it is. Together, let's affirm our faith. I have faith that God is my instant, constant, and abundant supply. I have faith that God provides ways when to human sense there is no way. I have faith that God is guiding me in all ways. My health, happiness, and success are assured. You can come on in. Welcome.
Good morning. Oh, come on now.
Now let's all sing. I'm gonna sing.
I'm gonna sing when the Spirit says sing. I'm gonna sing when the Spirit says sing. I'm gonna sing when the Spirit says sing, and enjoy the Spirit of my heart. I'm gonna shout when the Spirit says shout. I'm gonna shout when the Spirit says shout. I'm gonna shout when the Spirit says shout, and enjoy the Spirit of my heart. I'm gonna pray when the Spirit says pray. I'm gonna pray when the Spirit says pray. I'm gonna pray when the Spirit says pray, and enjoy the Spirit of my heart. I'm gonna work when the Spirit says work. I'm gonna work when the Spirit says work. I'm gonna work when the Spirit says work, and enjoy the Spirit of my heart. I'm gonna sing when the Spirit says sing. I'm gonna sing when the Spirit says sing. I'm gonna sing when the Spirit says sing, and enjoy the Spirit of my heart. One more time. I'm gonna sing when the Spirit says sing. I'm gonna sing when the Spirit says sing. I'm gonna sing when the Spirit says sing, and enjoy the Spirit of my heart.
Thank you. Oh, and now, fabulous Jan Bixler is going to come up and read our daily word.
Can I have some water? I'm so thirsty. Good morning. Sorry, I have to steal a little of Judy's water here. It's a dry morning. Well, this is a hard read, I'll tell you. And this little beauty back there, granddaughter, wanted to come and read today, but maybe we'll let her practice for next time, right? Okay, Rick? All right, great. So our reading today is on grace. Through divine grace, I am abundantly blessed in every way. Grace is an awareness that wherever I am, God is. It's a reminder to let God be God in me. Grace assures me that I am never alone on my journey through life, and that no matter what I do or fail to do, I am unconditionally loved and accepted at the level of spirit. Grace touches every area of my life. In a lonely moment, grace is the overwhelming awareness that I'm loved. In a surprising way, through a challenge I considered unsolvable. It is my whole body suddenly glowing with the power of divine life, even as I experience a health challenge. These are just some of the many ways I experience grace. Grace need not be, nor can it be earned. It's a divine gift available at every moment. And as I open my heart to divine grace, I am filled with indescribable peace. Grace be with all of you.
Announcements are on the slide and on the back of your bulletins. Please join us in the fellowship hall after the service for finger foods, fun, and fellowship. Dick Rauscher's memorial service will be September 18th at 1 p.m. And music night will be September 20th at 6 p.m. Please come and enjoy food, music, and camaraderie. And if you've never been to one of our music nights, they're very, very fun, and they're very fabulous. So we have our music people, and then we have other people too. So it's almost like a jam session. It's almost like a jam session. What'd you say, Matt?
I just think you said we have the musical people and we have the non-musical people.
Yeah, but it's still a jam session, and everybody comes and eats and has fun. Nobody worries about anything. So people, if you want to sing, go ahead. Tell Charles. It's very fun. Prayer requests. If you have any prayer requests, please fill out one of our prayer request forms located on that back table back there and drop it in the prayer box, and our prayer team here and at Silent Unity will pray for you. And that's very, very powerful. I think we underestimate the power of prayer, but Silent Unity prays 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And we pray here as well. So there's a lot of power there. If you have any prayer requests, please put them back there. Everything is confidential. Now, Reverend Judy is going to come to the stage and give us our message and teach us a couple of things that she teaches every week. It's very wonderful. I always learn 1 or 2 or 3 things. Thank you.
That's great, Tammy. I appreciate you. Appreciate that. It's actually our purpose. The reason I'm here, the reason ministers are around the world are speaking on Sunday mornings, the reason that spiritual centers are here is that we want to, whatever denomination, whatever belief system, we want to make your lives better. We just want to, explain the best we can how our lives work and the tips we've used that have made our lives better. We want to share that with you, one person at a time. We're so glad you're here. As a matter of fact, giving that introduction, I'll just go ahead and say a few things about Unity because there's some people that have never been to Unity before. And it's an organization they called New Thought. There was a movement in the late 1800s called the Transcendental Movement. It coincided with a lot of new thinking. It's why it's called New Thought. Many new teachers were out there teaching a different way. Many of them were teaching a different way to look at the Bible, and they said that, you know, the Bible doesn't even have to be looked at literally. If you look at it metaphysically, you'll see that those stories are our stories. You can take the stories from the very beginning and moving on up through the Bible, and a lot of people will tell you that as the stories are told, there's an evolution you can even look at if you are really taking the symbolism of the stories. And the Bible, and then Myrtle Fillmore, one of the co-founders, had tuberculosis and she was dying. And she was open to anything that she was opening her mind. And she went to a talk by a man named E.B. Weeks, and he taught that you could change your thoughts and you could change your life. And it was that simple. She went home. She kept a lot of the earlier teachings she had. She looked at the Bible differently. She looked at everything differently. And she said, well, you know what? I've been told I'm going to die, but I don't necessarily believe that. And so she healed herself from tuberculosis. And then her husband was more pragmatic and used his thinking capacity. For a long time, he helped her, and they created this movement called Unity. And he remembers when, and talked about when he went from literally thinking into moving into his heart and feeling the presence of God, feeling that divine presence that we talk about here every week. So he began to feel it too. And he wrote from that place. She really didn't write books. There are letters that Myrtle Fillmore wrote to others, and she encouraged them on how to heal. And they've reproduced her healing letters, but he was the one that produced all of the books, the 12 Powers, so many of the books that are out there and still in circulation, so popular. They weren't the only ones, we know that. Ernest Holmes created, not on purpose, but it came from his teachings, The Science of Mind, which has now become the Centers for Spiritual Living. And so there are some still out there. Did we throw the Bible out? No. It's looked at metaphysically, though, and the teachings are looked at in that way. We believe Jesus was a historical person that lived on this earth. He was the master teacher, but we don't necessarily believe that he came to save us, and we don't believe he said that. If you'll go back and look at his teachings and what he said, we don't necessarily believe that we need to be saved. So there's a little summary. And if anyone, I was thinking about this week, and we are creating a September-October newsletter that will have some of this information in it. If you ever feel drawn to taking classes, and you can even become a licensed Unity teacher, or if you want to become a licensed Unity minister, or if you just want to further your education and take classes, there are classes online, and you can find them by going to unity.org, and then that will lead you to, you can look for education, and that will lead you to some of their workshops and the classes that are at UWSI, Unity Worldwide Spiritual Institute. And they've changed their educational program. So it's a bit shorter than it was when I went through the program, but I'm sure it's just as powerful, probably more so. So Vicki was just telling me this morning a coincidence, and maybe it's not, maybe it's one of those synchronicities. She's from Missouri and grew up not that far from Unity Village, and her father's name is Charles Fillmore Fox. Charles Fillmore Fox. She wondered if that's just a coincidence. I said, probably not. I bet he was named after Charles Fillmore because they're not that far away from Unity Village. He was quite well known. But welcome to Unity Spiritual Center of Gulfport. We teach you mainly and remind you of a truth that's already within you. And that is that there's a good within you. And all you need to do is recognize it. You only need to recognize it. It's there. It's there for you at all times. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But first, we're going to ask if there's anyone in the congregation that needs prayer this morning, or if you need someone that needs prayer. Vicki requests prayers for our precious Lewis. He wasn't able to come today, and we miss him. Okay. Ongoing prayers. And prayers for you, too, and your back pain. Okay. Vicky's back pain. And our drummer and bass player, Tony, big tough Tony, he's been sick for a week. And we're praying for his healing, and John as well, praying for Tony and the girls. Okay, the girls in Andrea's life. Okay, all these people in Andrea's life need prayer. We're glad you're well. Oh, bless your heart. She said someone has to cook and clean. Oh, Andrea's going to need a vacation. And JR's here. Welcome, buddy. How you feeling?
Like $1 million, all green and wrinkled.
Oh, like $1 million, all green and wrinkled. He's been having some chemo over at Oshner.
Actually, I feel pretty good.
Feels pretty good. Okay. And we know you're being healed. We already know that.
Yep, I'm there.
Yep, he's there. He's being healed. And your sweet wife, Helen's still with you, I see. All the way through. Yeah. Okay, good. Good to see you, JR. We're so glad you came. Dan had some questions for you about the ship down at the port that's picking up all that military equipment that's been sitting there for a week. So we won't get into that right now, but see my husband afterwards. He needs to know about that. It is kind of interesting, though, the ships that come to the port and that big one picking up all that military equipment. We were wondering where it's going. Yeah. Okay, anybody else? Anyone else? Stage, anywhere? Yes, Jan. Oh. Well, come up here and pick up that microphone right there so they can hear you. We'll turn that microphone on.
It's not that important. Anyway.
Yes, it is.
Well, I was just going to say, since we had some new people here, I thought I'd share that I was able to attend the Unity, I'm trying to think what they call it. I think it's called Unity Practical something in Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
And most beautiful building, much like ours, windows looking out into the forest, absolutely gorgeous. And the minister there, he was, I know Reverend Judy, and she's fabulous, and I've taken classes with her, and all of that. And it was just great to go to another Unity and feel the love, because it was. You could feel the love, you could feel the interest and everything going on. And so if anybody ever gets to Memphis, you can check it out.
It's called, and many of the churches still have that name, the Center for Practical Christianity, I think is Memphis. I'll have to look up who's there now. I knew the fellow that was the minister there. Oh, Mickey, yeah. Mickey Quillen, yeah. Yep.
And he was funny. He said, there was hardly anybody in the congregation because it was Labor Day weekend. And he said, this is a literal
Oh, literal interpretation. Oh, you have to keep a sense of humor. Let my people go. Yeah, he's a great guy. I'm so glad you got to meet him. Okay, let's just take a moment, if you would, and if you would just close your eyes, if you would, and as you do, allow your focus to go inward and take a deep breath, allowing everything external to just go away. Find that place within you where you find God, where you find peace, where you find harmony. This is the same place where you're going to find healing. The same place. And anyone that's going through any sort of treatment right now, I would just suggest that a part of the time that you are going through that treatment, find this inner place. And during that time, say, every molecule that enters my body is healing me now. Every cell in my body is being healed. From the tips of my toes to the top of my head, I'm being healed in every way. And for those that are healing from grief, I would just ask you to say this. God, I just ask your healing to enter my heart and release every thought that causes me pain and sorrow. I release it for the absolute highest good, right here, right now. And I do the same with any challenge in my life. I place God on it. I place healing on it. And I know as I release it, healing is coming. Maybe not in the exact form I thought it would. But as I align my heart with God, the healing, the chaos, the drama, the challenge, the lack is being healed in every way. We say, thank you, God. Amen.
In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world filled with chaos and noise. I awake to these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said. And right here in this holy silence, I find God. I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world filled with chaos and noise. I awake to these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said. And right here in this holy silence, I find God. I find God. I find myself.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And that equipment down at the port is, I said military, didn't I? It's military construction equipment. I assume it's from one of the military bases here. They're going to build something somewhere. A lot of construction equipment. I read a quote by Florence Scovel Shinn. She's another New Thought writer and wrote a few books. She said, "Curses, like chickens, come home to roost." I'll just leave you to think about that for a minute. Have you heard anybody cursing anybody else lately? Seems the way of the world, doesn't it? Isn't it a shame? Isn't it a shame? Well, I made a decision myself. I, for one, am not going to participate in it. And that's a choice. It's a clear choice. I'm not going to participate in that. If curses come home to roost, I don't want any part of it. And we know the way the world works, and I'm going to talk about that a little more in just a moment when I talk about receiving guidance and where the guidance comes from. But if I'm going to send blessings, if that's what's going to come home to roost, if what you send out comes back to you, do you want it to be curses? Or do you want it to be blessings? Just remember that this week, okay? Keep that in mind. As you send a judgmental thought out about someone else, or you hear those being spoken, don't participate. You don't have to be rude. You can just walk away. You know, oh, I've got something else I've got to do. I'm just not going to stand here and participate in this. I was thinking too this week about, I know most of you don't remember who Jimmy Durante is. Do some of you remember Jimmy Durante? Or maybe I know Sharon and my husband, and Charles does. And J.R. and Helen and Jan, they were on television. He has a musical program, and he was also funny. He was a comedian. He was just about everything. And there was a special part of his show, and when he would walk off the stage, he would sing a stanza of this song. And the interesting thing was that there was a spotlight that would shine on him. From one step to the next, he would sing a stanza, and then as he takes another step, a spotlight would shine on him then, until he was all the way off the stage and had sung his final stanza. And the interesting thing is, it's a perfect symbol for our lives. And we may not know our next right step, but as long as we stay in tune and in harmony with our inner judgment and guidance, the light will shine on us and we will know. And what I wanted to talk about especially today was that the more we trust that, the more we go within and we find that inner harmony, we find that inner peace, we find that place where we find God, the more we will build that just like a muscle. Our faith will build the more we trust that inner guidance. I read a story too, and it's the little story that Miss Nay is using with the children this morning. It came from a book called The Quest, and I'm going to mention that again in a moment. And it's The Quest for Children. But the story goes that there was an old musician, and he also made some fine musical instruments. And he lived by a canal in Venice. Isn't that a lovely place to live? And out of his workshop window, he could hear and see the birds that were chattering away in this fine old tree right there beside the canal and the water. And it was just like music to his ears as he could hear the wind moving through the leaves, and he could hear the chattering of the birds. And he loved this old tree. And one year the tree fell down. And with a heavy heart, he went out and disposed of the tree. But as he cut it, he knew that he was going to keep the wood, because he was going to build another fine old instrument from that wood. And so he kept the wood in a corner until he felt that it was ready. And he took that wood and he made a beautiful old or a new cello out of that old wood. This beautiful cello, and as he's making it, he's just envisioning the music that's going to come from it. And so he finally finished it, and it took him a year to finish. And as he had it finished, he could just hear the music that was going to come from it. And there was a festival, and at the festival he told everyone, and especially the children, that someone would come that would play with this cello, and they would make the wood sing. Well, there was an egotistical and an arrogant young man who was a musician, and he was actually quite skilled. But he thought he knew it all and he could do it all, and he went with the idea he's going to impress everybody with his musical abilities. Instead of wanting the wood to sing and singing in harmony with the wood, he picked the instrument up, and all he could get out of it was a few old raw sounds. It wasn't music at all. And he went away disheartened. And he asked what had happened, so the craftsman shared with him that the cello could only be played by someone who was in harmony with God, with love, with the universe. So he took it away, and he tried to play. And finally, in the middle of the night, the craftsman woke up, and he heard this beautiful music coming from the instrument, as the young man had finally found his heart and found the place where harmony comes from. The tone and the tune of God was what it was. How do you find that? How do you find that place? It's why I asked you earlier to close your eyes and envision the place that goes from your heart center right here. Feel that right there when you go in tune with your heart, in tune with the universe. It's where harmony comes from. It's where all of the fine inventions have come from, when those would allow themselves to be in tune with the Master. They found their voice. They found the Spirit. They found the will, the place, the imagination to be in harmony with God, with love, so that all the tunes, the inventions, the love could come through them. And that's what wants to be known through you too. How do we reach that place of harmony? And I gave the example for 2 weeks running of the lost harp. And the man that found it when he was 2,000 miles away, he was a dowser. And it was a miracle. How did he find it? And the owner of the harp, who was a scientist and a psychologist, said, "This changed everything for me. I went from thinking that the world was created from our intellect into seeing that there's something much, much more powerful out there. And all we need to do is engage it. It's there for the taking. All we need to know it is it's there. And until you know it and you know how to engage it, then you can't properly tune into harmony either." I know the people, the Jafalas, that wrote the quest, and it's a year-long study that was written for Unity students. And I happen to have a copy right here. It's a year-long study, and we have studied it here. It was written, probably 20 years ago, and some of the language may be a little outdated, but anybody that ever wants to start a class and study the quest, and it has a workbook. But one of the readings in it, and it just takes you week by week through the spiritual journey, But they talked about when they were just starting their spiritual journey and wanting to know God, wanting to know what the spiritual yearning is. And they said that it took them some time to really build their trust and faith in the guidance of God, because something would come up and some challenge, this, that, or the other. We know how it is in our material lives. There are a lot of things that happen that go wrong, and they'd throw up their arms and go into chaos and drama. What are we going to do now, and how's this going to work out? And they're just working from their minds at how in the world are we going to figure this problem out. And then all of a sudden, they'd come to themselves and say, oh, wait a minute, that's what, right? We said we were students of truth, didn't we? Didn't we say we were students of truth and we were going to go by our inner guidance? And in order to hear our inner guidance, we have to quiet all that mental chatter. And what is that mental chatter? It all stems from fear. It's just fear. And so they'd get better, and the next thing you know, the problem's solved, and they go on with their lives, and then before long, another something comes up, and they go on into this again, and on until they finally and they didn't chastise themselves over it. They knew they were on a spiritual path, and they were learning. And so they didn't put themselves down. They just said, wow, we came back to our heart center a little quicker this time than we did last time. I think that's building my faith. And that's how we do build our faith and our trust, is when we put our trust into this inner guidance. And we know that's where the guidance is coming from. And we say, okay, I'm going to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is going to work out. I don't know how. I haven't a clue. But I'm going to put my faith in God. And I know the inner guidance or the synchronicity is coming that's going to heal this problem. And the next thing you know, it's solved. And your faith deepens with each and every occurrence. Your faith deepens. And there's so many stories of synchronicities, and I know last week I asked each of you, when I closed, I said, well, I've just told you a few of my stories, and I know each one of you has several. I would just ask you to bring them to mind, remember them, and live your life accordingly. You can live your life as if miracles don't happen, or you can live your life as if they do. It's a choice. And every time I get into that mental chatter that the Jafalas were talking about, and we all do, you just bring yourself back to center as quickly as you can. And someone said that's a measure of our how deeply we've gone in our spirituality, is how quickly we can come back to center after being drawn off, after we've been triggered by something someone said. Did we allow ourselves to get upset for a moment or two? That's okay, that's human, we do. But now how quickly can I draw myself back? How quickly can I draw myself back? And years ago, there was another miracle I wanted to tell you about. And there was a member of the British Parliament that had gone for a very, very important meeting in Scotland. And they had just crossed the border when it had rained all day. I understand it rains there all the time. We had a little taste of that last week here, didn't we? We were thinking maybe we had moved to the Northwest and we didn't know about it. But, and it was very important that he get there because it was for the good of his countrymen. And so his carriage is stuck in the mud. They've done everything they can to get it out of the mud. The wheels are just buried in. He's gotten out to help push, and there's a young farmer that comes by, and he has some horses. And he says, well, I can pull you out of that rut you're in. And so he does. He just cheerfully pulls them out so they can go on. And before the ambassador went on, he wanted to know who the young man was, what his name was. And he said, what could I do for you? I'd like to pay you for this. Oh, no, he said, you don't need to pay me for this. I'm just doing what any neighbor would do for another. Please. So he said, well, what do you want to do with your life? He said, well, I want to be a doctor. He said, well, that's great. I'm going to be in touch with you and your father. So time goes on, and he is in touch and makes it possible for him to go to university. And 50 years later, Churchill was in the hospital with pneumonia and dying. And there was a new drug, penicillin, that was brought in and saved his life. And you guessed it. Then Churchill's father, Randolph, had paid for the university for this young man, Fleming, that discovered penicillin and saved so many lives. And those are the ways that synchronicities work in your life. You know, and they work all the time. I would ask you to pay attention to them. They're there all the time. Don't just slough it off and say, that was odd. Well, that was a strange occurrence there, and just and pass it off as coincidence. It's not. I don't think there are any coincidences. I know Alan Cohen, who's also a spiritual teacher who has become overwhelmingly popular all over the world. But when he was early in his career, he was going to be giving a workshop at a Unity church. And he tells the story of a woman that came in, and she said, I need to tell you how I found you. This was in San Diego. She said, I'd been hoping to meet you sometime, and I just didn't know how. And I'm driving along the freeway, and all of a sudden I had a thought that came into my head that said, check out Christ Unity Church. She's thinking, Christ Unity Church, what is that? Never heard of it. But when she got home, she looked it up in the telephone book. This was before internet, okay? We had telephone books back then. We had telephones and handsets, those kind of phones. And she calls the church and asks what they taught there. It was a Unity church, just like this one. And she said why she called. She said, I've read some of Alan Cohen's writings, and I'm so impressed. I'd love to meet him. She said, well, you're in luck. He's going to be here this Saturday. Now, how did those things happen? Is that just a coincidence? No, we know that. And I guess that's what I wanted to encourage you to do today, is grow your faith. The power of wisdom, it's always there. Even in those times when we feel lost, the more I affirm and live this principle, the more my faith grows. You might ask yourself, have I spent time in quiet, allowing Spirit in? Where did I see Spirit at work in the things I enjoyed? Maybe in the challenges. And what ordinary activities did I participate in today? And did I see any synchronicities in those? Did I remind myself often to pause and notice and to be grateful? Because here's another tip. If you're not aware of it, it's not going to make an impression upon you. So you have to make sure you're aware of the things that are going on in and around you. Allow the mystery, allow it in, and allow it to grow your faith. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Reverend Judy. Now we give expression for all that is offered here at Unity of Gulfport. Please take your offerings in your hand and say along with me. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I am, and all that I receive. I give in love, and I trust in God. Thank you.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds if we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you till we meet again. Some trails are happy ones, others are blue. It's the way you ride the trail that counts. Here's a happy one for you. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds if we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you till we meet again.
Thank you.
By the way, does
Thank
anybody
you.
remember Roy Rogers and Dale Evans?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. We're talking to a crowd that remembers, or a lot of us remember all this stuff. Oh, what a pleasure it is to be here today among so many others that want to live together and thrive together in unity, in oneness, in love. Actually, the master teacher told us, didn't he? Love one another. It's pretty simple. So I challenge each of us this morning to go out into the world and love one another, as he suggested. We're so grateful for these tithes and offerings. We ask that they would be multiplied tenfold for the giver and the receiver, heaped up, pressed down, and running over. So it is. Okay, let's bless these young people. Aren't they wonderful? Don't you just love these? Kaya wanted to read the daily word this morning, and I said, well, how well do you, the program had already started, so we were kind of in a bind there. How well do you read? I read very well for my age, I've been told. Right? Right, okay. We're going to let her do that sometime. Hi, hon. All of you, all these beautiful, beautiful young people. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. We behold the Christ in you,
empowering you to do great things.
and so it is.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Light of
God
God
surrounds us,
the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.